If this is the first time you see summaries of it, you will see the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the best of peace. Do not forget, make a subscription, family movie. Go easy on him, and the movie begins. Scholars Kano, they see gold is in the North Pole, and the news spread among the people, and they needed it. They had big, strong dogs to pull their basket, and this was a dog and a pamper, and he belonged to Judge Miller, and he was loved in the whole town, and Buck Chief the mailman, and he came running after him because of me. They went ahead, and they saw James who was with him announcing that people wanted to buy strong and large dogs for very high sums. He arrived with some of the house of the judge and the maid. And the cooks, as soon as they felt him, saw all of him. He was very upset, so they threw him out of the kitchen. And he felt that the judge saw him, so they took the judge and threw him outside. The house is a face that enters through the window. No. The judge tells him that today he should be calm and polite. Today is his birthday, and he has guests. He uncovered a rabbit in the garden, so he ran after him, but the rabbit was in his hole. It was written, I don't know how to answer it, and he came back to the garden to turn yellow. Buck ruined the whole trip, and I liked it. I am outside the house, and I eat anyone between his hand and his sands ate it inside the box. So Buck entered and escorted the box to him along, and they discovered that he was taking money and moving the box in the diameter of the goods. And I eat anyone who opens the box tries to escape. But this person ideal, he was with him with violence and beat him. He told him that he had to abide by the laws, and the second day your father himself got out of the box, but he was tied up. He did not give up and ran away and kept running and found himself on the deck of a ship in the middle of the sea, and the ship reached the city of Alaska, and the dog dealer took a buck. And he felt that he was far from his home. I found his leg in the snow, so he was very surprised and tried to walk on the snow, and the snow did not come down on him. He was happy while he was playing 3 games from the merchant, and he ran, and he bumped into an old man named John, and John, who was scheduled to travel to the north. After the death of his son, he sold it. All his possessions belonged to his wife, Sarah, and the embassy eats on the June, and he took it. He gave it to him and we thanked him, and the merchant took a buck and put him among the dogs to be sold. His wife Francoise him while she was working with him in distributing the cold while she was dialing, she eats between her instant buck, so I told him what is this? This is one. He told her, but he is big and strong, so he introduced him to the rest of the team, including the house, and he is the leader of the team. Pierrot explained to them the way on the map, and they started the journey with a cup of proof, but Pac did not know how to adapt with them at all. Like the first time, he was attached to a team and walked on the snow. Because of the slippery slope and tiredness, Buck fell on the ground and made them sleep all night except Buck. I don't know how to sleep because of the snow, because it was the first time he slept in this weather, and he saw the tent bare, and Franco went to know about her place, so she kicked him out. He was walking upset. He saw a big wolf, so he came back out of fear, so he stepped on a sleeping dog in a hole, so they got up and cursed him, and he looked at the wolf. He disappeared, and found all the dogs sleeping in a hole, so he dressed them, and in the morning Barrow woke all the dogs so that they could continue on their way. But Spitz loved it. He pestered Buck and banged on the trunk of a tree, while they were on their way to deliver the mail. They sat resting while they ate. He slandered a dog and took the food from him. Good health. Upon discovering the situation, he became very upset and took his food and gave it to him. It wasn't he wanted someone to drink with him. Pac got annoyed and started digging a hole and drinking, and the dogs drank from it. He got annoyed more than one door and quickly learned to run on the snow and reached the river when it was frozen, and they had to cross it in comfort, and Peru and Francois Cano, they test the place. And out of the courage of a house, he wanted to go with them. But God pleases. Stay where you are, because of your weight, and Francois, while the ice cattle break and fell into the river, and Baru Pac is dragging on her to save her. So he got out of it, and Peru was coming out. Francois, and your father fell into the river again. For anyone who wants a bacillus, he met Buck, and they embraced him, and he was very happy with him. At night, Francois was sitting with a door next to her. She told him that she was not convinced of him like Peru, but now she is convinced of him, and she gave food as a reward for him. Behind and all the talk is going on, and she plays with Paige and Buck, who catches the rabbit and his paw second, and he makes me he will run, and suddenly he appears as he curses, grabs the rabbit and kills him, and he looked at the door and attacked it and sat in it until someone was jealous of him, but his dogs would come for him to open his eyes, and he meets the wolf as if he were inspired and given strength. Underscore 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 in front of him, as if they are saying that he is the leader, but God pleases. Go back to your place. I'm still new to dogs older than you, but I was insisting on his position, between him and France, and they come back healthy and choose another dog, but the dog was running from him, he wanted to stay. The captain went back to his place, so he cooled down so that he wouldn't be late. The plumber was walking at a slow pace. He dressed and said, "Only captain." The team started running and was very fast, and Piero was happy with me. Februo, he tells me that he has left the north, but discovers the wolf standing above a tunnel, so he runs quickly and enters the tunnel and is able to save him in the middle of the city on their date. This was the first time, and people received his answers, and John was in the same country, and he was writing an answer to his wife, Sarah, on his birthday. His son, Ellie Matto, he tells her that he cannot live without them, his mood is very tired, and again in the morning John ran to catch up with them, and why did he love you from afar above? He takes the answer from him, gives it to Francois and John, thanks and not and. After a day, he returned again to the city, but this time there was an official answer to Peru, and they started selling dogs by entering the 4th season, and that they had found a modern way to deliver mail. He had 4 dogs and told me that the rest should take care of himself and his team. He directed a person named Ye to buy his team Peugeot, the rest and Macnesh's team were able to pull the refrigerator because it had a very large load. And John saw the situation and went to tell me if it was you are going to look for gold, its name is for the spring, so you can return to it, so it will be fine as you are. If you walk with this load on the frozen river, it will collapse all of you. But are you not interested in talking and continue on their way while they are on the road? The dogs are getting tired, you can't continue, and they all sit down? Will he hit them with garbage so they can continue? At the same time, John finds the snow starting to melt and he thinks of you. And he took his bag and he started looking for you and his family to beat you with fire. He told him the dogs warn you not to walk on the frozen river, and you passed out from exhaustion, so they are the security guards for John and take the rest of the dogs. They were seeing dogs. The buck is very good and John took a buck to the house and it's very good with it. He was unable to get up from sleep. One night John was sitting and the snow was starting to melt. John felt that I was backing on his team and John. He told him that his team had walked and that he had been sleeping for 2 days. From me, and I lost all my wealth and my friends, and at the same moment Buck was looking for John and saw his sweetness and beat him, so he attacked him and the people caught him. He is the owner of the place. He had the gun, and they were expelled outside the place, and John was completing his soup, but he was honoring it from the cup, and he took the straw from him and went to bury it in the snow and sat on it, and beside me tried to get him up, but I didn't know, so he sat beside him and told him about his son who died, that he tried to move away to forget. The second day in the morning, John decided that they would walk from the city. He took out a map and told me that he would come with this trip on behalf of his son. He loved adventures, and this place was among his dreams, and his son wanted to go to this place not for the gold, because of the wildlife. He drew a map on the land and came to Arb and started their journey, and at night they would camp anywhere, and John would enter crying with me. In the morning they were completing their journey and they met many waterfalls, but the house was still happy. and unfortunately the boat was perforated and they had to complete the journey walking. And at the same time he would break into John's house and find the map on the ground, and he knew that they were on their way to gold. On the way, they saw an abandoned house and entered it. They are cleaning and John knows that this house belonged to someone looking for gold, and he found me a drop of what he drank and a plumber was sitting for him, and Pack told me that he would carry it again another time. At night, they heard the sound of wolves, and he was very afraid, so John lay Pack, "Don't be afraid of these wolves of your species." And he found something that was shining, so he went down and brought it and found it a piece of gold, as if he believed himself, and then he turned to the gold and he was helping him and he found a large piece of gold, so he chopped it up, he found a small piece of paste. And I see a part with an egg. I look at it strong, so John said I will go, he saw her and discovered the place. He laid on me before the night and went after her. He met Dubai on his way. But he ran away from him, and the wolf looked at him very much and ran from him, and he made them the prints of her legs and his legs. The river. And all the wolves were running in order to save him in a race. We jumped right into the branch of the tree and left the river, and all the wolves left to thank him. Since then, he stayed with friends and ran and played with them. And the master learns from them. And I bring everything I need. They hunt. The goon was about to eat it, and every day he would come. It's late, and the next morning Buck was playing paste. The lupus came to his friend and John tells me that you are. Do you want to go? He ran with you and John. He went after him and he was happy and knew that he had found his place, and Joel came back and threw some twice as much into the river to another, and took 2 small grains, and told me that the rest of us would be enough, and that he would return to the city tomorrow alone. He would not ask me till he returns with his place, and asks Buck to come tomorrow to say goodbye, and at night John gets ready his bag. He heard a sound and took the flashlight to see who is outside. Why is anyone hitting us? Ugh. The flashlight fell from him and burned part of the house. John tried to grab the gun from him. The gold, after he took the gold from him, was about to get rid of it, so Paige attacked him and started throwing him into the light. The house fell on him and he died, and he began to carry John because they held prisons. He used to die in the lap of a house, and the days passed and Buck married the wolf and Caliph was happy with his life, and every time he passed from the same place where his owner died, he would stop and think of him in the channel and activate the bell on everyone so that all new summaries of the meeting will come to you in a summary.